Well, it's finally starting to feel like grouse season out a little bit. Today is Wednesday, September 24th, and the colors on the leaves are starting to change a little bit. The weather's cooled off some from where it was last week when the season opened up. And my plans today have been foiled a little bit so far by some rain that we've gotten. But beggars can't be choosers, because over the last month I've been begging for some rain. It's just been so warm and extremely dry. We've entered kind of another drought again this September, like we had beginning of last fall as well. But we finally got some rain here this morning, and over the last few days we've actually gotten a fair amount of rain. But it's been so dry that the woods and the ground has pretty much absorbed most of that moisture already today. So things are starting to dry out a little bit finally, and I think it's time to go give it a shot and see what we can run into. I think it's going on, 1:30 right now. So it's just after midday. Like I said, it's been raining all morning. It's mid-60s out, 62, 63 degrees right now. A little bit of a breeze. It feels pretty nice out, especially with this overcast sky. Nice change of pace from the hot weather that we've had for the last couple weeks, and especially to start the season up here. So I'm going to go into a spot this afternoon that isn't like your typical big aspen stand. There's aspen in the area, but this early part in the year, I try not to get wrapped up in too much aspen, just from the fact that there's so much cover available. There's so much ground cover, canopies that have a lot of leaves on them. There's just so much that the grouse can slip away into right now that they're not fully dependent on living in those aspen thickets. And I really don't enjoy hunting aspen this early in the season either, because it's so thick, the ferns are so high, the raspberry leaves are full still, and it's just so tight and tough to get through those aspen stands that I really try and hunt more mature stuff this early part in the year. Because like I said, there's so much food and cover still in a lot of this mature timber. Of course, in the areas around where there is younger aspen stands. That is one key thing. I always do try and hunt areas that have generally a fair amount of younger aspen stands to them, but I don't hunt those aspen stands directly this time of year. I usually try and hunt the outskirts or the cover around that aspen. And this area has a lot of younger aspen in it. And so I'm going to go in here in some mature timber that kind of has some open pockets in it, mixed with some pines and hardwoods, and run some of those edges in there and see if we can find some birds that are trying to, come off the roost from this rain that we've had a little bit over the last couple hours and dry off some, maybe feed a little bit. There's a lot of food in here, a lot of hawthorn. I hunted here 2 years ago, and it was full of hawthorn, and I had really good success in here. Last year I came back and the hawthorn wasn't in like it had been the year before, and I didn't have as much success here last year. Didn't move a whole lot of birds, but this year the hawthorn is back. There's a lot of it, and so fingers crossed the birds are in here in this area. So that's kind of the game plan, and now there's nothing left to do but see if those birds are in here. So here we go. There's a big hawthorn tree right here. There's a lot of it on the ground, you can see. Good spot for some birds to hang out and feed. We'll venture back in here, see if there's anything around. Yep, there went a bird. The dog was on point right over here. I didn't even catch that he was on point. He's standing there still. It didn't sound like that bird went too far. Yeah, he just locked up on point right here. Side of this road. It's a big patch of hawthorn right here. They were just touch far. If I was like just a little bit closer, man. Whoa. Well, that was some excitement real quick. That bird popped out on the road and I see him cutting him across and I was like, dang it, buddy, you're just like a touch too far. I wish I was 10 feet closer. You guys ever have a moment when you're grouse hunting and you're going, man, what in the world am I doing this for? This cover sucks to walk through. I ain't finding no birds. It's a little warm out. And this just kind of downright sucks. And that's exactly what my thoughts were about halfway through that last walk. It was getting a little warm out feeling. I was getting wet because everything was wet, the foliage in the woods. We hadn't found any birds. The cover was looking good. There was a lot of hawthorn, a lot of good stem density, a lot of edges for some open areas that I was working through. And I was like, man, there's got to be a bird in here somewhere. And we just didn't find anything. And I was getting sick and tired of not finding anything and getting slapped in the face by brush walking through it. And I was getting a little frustrated. So I ended up working my way back out to the road because I hadn't found any birds yet. And no sooner than I get on that road, Yeti starts getting a little birdie, stops on point right in the middle of the road there. And I see this big, beautiful hawthorn bush that's got fruit on it. And I'm like, man, there's a good chance there's a bird in here. Take a couple more steps forward and one scurries across the road there and it just kind of broke loose after that. I think we probably moved 8 grouse in that little pocket. There was a few more that were off the edges a little farther down the road and they were all just kind of sitting around in that area. And the other ones that were out of that group, they busted out from us as we were trying to work them. I think they knew that the gig was up from the shooting that I did and just a little bit of the hollering I did and the dog running around being all excited. So didn't get any more opportunities at any birds, but it was finally nice to see some grouse and have a close encounter there. But nonetheless, we have some rain that's possibly moving in later this evening. So I'm going to give it one last go here for today. It's about 4:30 going on 5 o'clock right now. And I'm going to run some more open areas through some mature timber. It buds up to a young cut on the back side. A lot of hawthorn again in the area. So I'm going to work some trails through it, try and hit some of those open edges where there's some aspen, some autumn olive, hawthorn, and some pretty good stem density in those areas on the edge of that timber. So that's kind of my game plan for this evening. Give it a shot and see what we come up with. You ready? Ember. Come on. Got a point in here from Ember. There she is right there. I missed. Woodcock. All right, good start, girl. Ember. 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 There's a woodcock in here somewhere. Dead bird. There it is. Dead bird, Ember. Good job. That was cool watching the dog work like that. I knew we had to be on a woodcock in here. Come on, dead bird, find. We are on the board for the 2025 season, finally. Dead bird, find. Fetch, here. Good girl, Ember. Good job, girl. That's a girl. Come here. 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 Nice work. Good job, Ember. Good job, girl. Good job. First bird of the season. That was some nice work. That was fun. The young timberdoodle. That was some fun dog work, just seeing her snake up like that and going from point to point. Worked beautifully. All right, first bird of the season, finally. Good job, girl. Just popped out to this open area here. There's a lot of hawthorn in here. This big bowl, it's got hawthorn on each side of it. It's just a tangled mess, and been standing here just let the dog work the area. She finally ended up on point 60 yards away from me. I see her. She's just on the edge of this thicket, facing that way. I'm gonna cut around here in front. Oh, there they go. There was two of them. Good job, girl. Well, had the right idea. Just for whatever reason, those birds busted up and went right back over top of the dog there. That's unfortunate. I was really hoping that we were going to pinch them out this way, because the dog had them on the other side, and she was facing into this. So I decided to cut around wide, try and get in front, in hopes that we could push them out this way. But for whatever reason, those birds went right back over top of the dog's head away from me. And it was just too thick through there to really get a good look at them. And they didn't take off real high either. They zipped right over top of the dog's head. That just wasn't a shot that I felt comfortable taking. But man, we had them pinned. They just didn't do what we wanted them to do. Good job, Ember. Well, this morning some pretty heavy fog has rolled in on us, and I don't have a whole lot of experience of hunting heavy fog like this, but the sun isn't coming out anytime soon, so I don't see this fog moving out anytime soon. It's going on 8:30, 9 o'clock right now, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. I'd imagine the birds still got to do their same routine. They still got to come down from the roost. They still got to pick grit. They still got to feed. But from what I have heard of people that have experience hunting this type of fog is that it makes the birds sit tight. So fingers crossed, we're going to put that to the test this morning and see if we can get some birds to hold tight. I'm going to hunt the same area that I hunted last night, except I'm going to hunt the opposite side of the road. There's a 15-year-old cut that's over there, and it looks pretty good. So I'm going to start out by working down some trails and edges along that, and then eventually I'll probably wander into the cover a little bit, see what we come across this morning. Last night we ended up moving probably half a dozen woodcock and 2 grouse. Got the monkey off our back, bagged a woodcock last night. Got our first bird of the 2025 season, so that was exciting. But there's still some work to be done, and hopefully we can get a grouse here at some point. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up now, go get a dog, and head into the fog. You ready? Fox. Fox is on point right in here. There it goes. There's a set of grouse tracks right here in the road. They're definitely from this morning, because this side-by-side went by me last night after dark when I was at camp. And those tracks are right in this side-by-side's track from last night. So, yep, there they are again. It's definitely from this morning. So one thing I always look for that draws my attention is little wet spots in the road. And when I come across one, I take a look for things like this. And that's usually a good indicator if there's woodcock around, because those are the holes from the bill probing into that soft mud right there, looking for worms. And there's a couple of them in here. You can see this bird was busy around in here this morning. A few more here, a couple more up here. So just a cool little thing. If you ever come across a little puddle of water, stop in it and look and see if you can find any bill marks. Let you know if there's woodcock around. Even though the temperature has cooled off a little bit this week compared to last, the conditions have been really tough still. The rain that we've had the last few days or so has brought in a lot of humidity, and it's just felt like the air is really thick, heavy, and we haven't had any wind at all. It's been really super calm. So those two things combined have made tough setting conditions and overall made it pretty warm still to be out in the field, especially when you don't have any wind blowing on you at all, and then you add in a lot of humidity and then the sun popping in and out. It can make for some challenging hunts for sure, and we definitely faced that on this morning's hunt. The fog ended up clearing up pretty fast this morning, but man, it was humid out and it was really thick. The air was tough, and I think the dog felt the effects of that for sure. We ended up moving 7 grouse, so we found some birds on the walk, but the dog either hit them from the wrong side or they busted out in front of us and just really didn't get any good looks or opportunities at any of those 7 birds. So that's how it goes sometimes. That's hunting. Now this afternoon, I'm getting ready to go out, but before I go out, I want to introduce you guys to the main stars of the show real quick. And a lot of you guys are probably familiar with my dogs, but for those of you who are new here, my name is Cliff, and these are my 4 Brittanys. So, I'm gonna start down at the end here. We're gonna go from oldest to youngest. This is Yeti. What's up, buddy? How you doing today? You doing good? Yeti is 8 years old. He's my first bird dog. We've learned a lot together, had a lot of good times together, got into quite a few birds together. I always love hunting with him, and I think he loves hunting with me. I hope, at least. So over here, we have the second edition that came to our pack. This is Miss Ember. How you doing this afternoon, Ember? You want some belly rubs? Yeah, you want to roll over? Yeah, it's a good girl. Ember's 5 years old right now. She'll be 6 in January. She's been a good dog for me. I like hunting with Ember a lot. She's not the hardest running dog you'll ever find, but she's consistent. She sets a good pace for herself, gets in the zone, and is just usually pretty reliable and dependable. Over here we have Aspen. Yeah, what do you say, Aspen? You're gonna go hunting tonight. We're gonna take Aspen hunting tonight. Aspen is 4 years old, going on 5 this coming November. Before that, we had just had the 2 liver ones, Yeti and Ember. So she was our first orange one. She's actually out of the same female that Yeti came out of. So they are technically half siblings. I think they have a lot of the same mannerisms, especially with how they move their heads, how they do things with their paws and stuff like that. I think they have a lot of the same mannerisms. It's really funny to see, actually. And then down here at the end, the second half of this little combo right here, this is Fox. Fox was a pup that we bred. She came from Ember. So little Miss Ember there is her mom. Fox was a cute little orange dog out of that litter. She was actually the first dog born, and it was interesting. We kind of just looked at her when she came out, and we just felt like we had a connection to her when she popped out at 1 in the morning. And ever since then, she's been with us. She is a little rocket out in the field. She loves to run. She loves to go fast. She loves to just blow through anything that's in front of her. And she loves birds. So anyways, that's my pack of Brittanys. One thing that I'm really trying to take in the moment for this year is just where all my dogs are at right now. I don't have a dog that's too old or too young on the string right now. And so all of them are kind of coming into their prime age, with Yeti at 8 years old on the upper end of the spectrum, and then Fox down on the lower end of the spectrum. She's 3 years old right now. So I've got dogs that are 3, 5, 6, and 8. So all of them are right there in the best years of their life hunting wise, and I'm trying to take that in and enjoy that part with them this year, because a couple more years that, Yeti's gonna be 10, 11, 12 years old eventually, and he probably won't be hunting as much, and the other ones will be starting to get to the age that he's at now, and everybody's at a good age for what we're trying to do right now. So I'm trying to just enjoy that this year. I've got a nice pack of dogs. All of them are healthy, love hunting, and ready to go. And for the most part, they go out there and do their job. So enough about the dogs. I'll talk about a little bit where I'm gonna go and hunt tonight. This evening, I'm gonna go hunt along a river. And this river borders kind of some open, sparse cover that's like some shrubby, different things that are mixed into it. I don't know exactly the best way to describe it, but along that river, there's a lot of tag alders, aspens that are growing up, some food in there as well. And I've hunted it before and had success down there. And I'm hoping that with this drought that we've had so far in September, that there's gonna be some birds holding down on that river edge where there's moisture, both woodcock and grouse. And then after I get done with the riverbank, I'm gonna turn back into the cover and go hunt this sparser looking stuff. I've found birds in there as well before in the past. So that's kind of the game plan for this evening. I'm gonna put my vest on now, and I'll see you guys out in the field. Aspen. All right, let's go hunting. We've been making our way around the circle I was talking about before I left the truck. Came to a young stand of aspen here. And aspen went down to my left on the edge of it here, went on point. Just 40 yards from me. There she is in front of me. Aspen. I released her. She moved up a little ways, went back on point. It's a woodcock, that's what it was. Good girl. Aspen's back point in this cut. I tried getting her out of here, but she didn't want to leave. And there's woodcock in here, I'm sure, that's why. It's just a pain in the butt getting through this stuff. I have no idea if I got it or not. I feel like I heard it keep flying. Well, I just got back to the truck. I was gonna wrap up our walk. And Aspen went on point in here, 45 yards. But I guess we're not quite done yet. Whoa. Oh, those birds were just touch freaking far. If they would have sat just a little bit tighter and I could have came around that corner just a little bit more, we'd have been in business. But I mean, those birds get up so dang fast. By the time they were up and I had my gun up, they were over top of those aspen trees over there. And that's a good probably 45-yard poke, which is doable, but these open chokes and light shot with a bird that's moving that quick, it's definitely not the easiest thing to do. Well, I'm not really sure what to expect this morning. I'm in a brand new area to me, a spot that I've never been to before. Getting ready to go out to hunt for the morning, and I can't even get with my truck all the way into the spot that I want to hunt, so I have no visuals or know what it looks like. I'm just going off of what the map tells me it looks like, and that is 2 cuts that are 11 years old that are surrounded by a lot of pines. There's some oak that's mixed in as well in the area, but other than that, I have no idea what to expect, no idea what this spot's going to look like once I get back there. What I'm standing in here right now is just all pines, a lot of pines in here, and it's kind of eerie looking pines. I don't know, just gives me weird vibes standing in these pines. But anyways, hopefully there's some grouse back there. Like I said, not really sure what to expect, but I'm excited. Gonna go do some exploring this morning. It's always fun trying to find new spots and see if you can find that next honey hole. It feels like this place is either gonna be a big bust or absolutely loaded with birds. Hopefully it's the latter of the two, but nonetheless, I'm gonna get a dog out and we're gonna go back here and give it a shot. Ember. Well, it feels good to finally see some aspen. Something else to look at besides all these pines. Ember's on point right up here, where the edge of this aspen meets a bowl with some pines and firs. There she she is right there in front of me. Dead bird. Good job, Ember. Man, I was really thinking there's gonna be a grouse sitting down in here somewhere, and that woodcock popped up, and I was like, well, we'll take it, because you're flying the wrong way straight down that opening. Good job, Ember. Good girl. Good job. Well, we've had to do some work for this one. Long walk back in here. We've done a pretty good circle around the first cut. We're into the second cut now. This is the second woodcock we've moved. So there hasn't been a whole lot of action, but nice to finally get a pointed bird. Get a shot at one. Good job, come here. Nice job, girl. Man, she was on point right here. And that woodcock was sitting just on the other edge of this fallen log here, and I thought for sure I was gonna walk in here and kick a grouse up out of this little low spot right here. It's funny how that works sometimes. A lot of times I'll be going in, I'm like, it's a woodcock sitting here. Grouse takes off. Like, oh, this is a real grousey looking spot. There's gotta be a grouse sitting in here. Beep, 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 beep. Woodcock takes off. All right, let's keep moving. What I've learned over the years is that these spots that I take a gamble on, that I can't get eyes on before I go in and hunt to see what the cover looks like, usually don't pan out. And that's pretty much what this spot was this morning. I would consider it a bust. That's not to say that there's not any birds back in there, or if I would have hunted it a different time of the day that I would have had better success, because a lot of these places too do come down to being there at the right time, whether it's the right time of year or the right time of day. But for this cover, it was very sparse, the aspen that was coming in. It was spotty, and there wasn't a whole lot to it. It was pretty thin. And what I mean there wasn't a whole lot to it was there was nothing else growing up in the cut except for aspen. And I typically don't like hunting spots like that because I never seem to have really good success there or really find many birds. It just seems like those places that's just really thin aspen coming up just doesn't have all the things that the birds are typically looking for. You know, raspberries, hawthorn, just a bunch of other stuff that would typically grow up in a cut is just kind of null and void in these spots, and they just don't exist. So that's kind of my thoughts on the spot that I went into this morning. Like I said, if I would have hunted here maybe midday, mid-afternoon, I would have ran into a bird or two. There's a couple pockets in there where I'm sure that there's a bird that hangs out throughout the day at some point, but we just didn't come across any grouse. Moved 3 woodcock. I'm sure as it gets into October, there's probably going to be some flights that land into that aspen cut. It looked pretty good for flight birds, but outside of that, I probably wouldn't come back to a spot like this. So nonetheless, it was fun to take a swing and explore a new area without kind of knowing what it was going to be. But like I said, these spots that I am not able to actually get eyes on and see what the cover looks like before going into usually doesn't produce a whole lot. I like to know what the cover looks like, be able to kind of read it before I go in and say, yes, this has the stuff that I'm looking for, or no, this doesn't have the stuff that I'm looking for. So with that, I'm going to wrap up my little hunting trip for now, get back home, do some work again finally. It's been a fun couple days, moved some birds, got a few shots, and still, like I said last time, the best is yet to come. It's still been warm, it's still been muggy. I mean, even today, it was overcast, cool when I got up, but there was a lot of moisture in the air that moved in with some fog over top, and it's just been tough. So nonetheless, hopefully sometime in October here, the temperatures cool down a little bit and we can feel like we're actually grouse hunting. So until then, you guys, good luck out there in the woods if you're out there chasing birds, and I'll catch up with you guys soon.